Welcome to AstroLyrical, the podcast where music meets astrology, where I, Liana Bassior, scope out the hidden astrology of up-and-coming musical artists and discover how the stars show up in their music, songs, and lyrics. We are so excited to have our first guest on. Her name is WREN, and she is a performance artist originally from Cleveland, Ohio, who focuses on hip-hop and pop musical stylings, whose mission is to empower and lift people through her craft. Her big three are Leo Sun, Aquarius-Moon, and Sag-Rising. Oh my God, you guys, we're back to AstroLyrical Season 2, y'all. Can you believe it? We made it. Season 2, and we are so excited because we are in a new space. We are meeting with new musicians, and we just cannot wait to get this season started. And first, we have a wonderful guest, Megan WREN. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
This is so fun. And I just love that you're our first guest of the season because I think your working partner is Trevin.
Yes.
And Trevin was on our first season. And I think actually my sister was technically the first guest of the first season, but he was the second. And he was one of our people that we had really early on because me and Alana, who's our editor and one of our producers and things like that, we knew him from college. Mm-hmm. And so we had him on and it was so much fun. And I love that we've grown our little AstroLyrical family and now he's connected us to you. So that's really fun. And I'm curious to know how you guys met and started working together.
It's a great question. So we actually met at the Hotel Cafe. I was there to see Lindsey Kratz perform. And he was coming to watch his friend perform at Monday at Hotel Cafe. And I remember he sat down next to me and then I think I had to use the restroom. I was like, can you just watch my stuff or whatever? He's like, yeah, no problem. And then we started connecting. And the thing that got us connected, he's like, what do you do? I was like, I'm here to raise the vibration of the planet through movement and music. And he's like, I'm going to be friends with her.
Wait, can you just repeat what you just said? Because that's a really badass statement. What was it?
It was, I am here to raise the vibration of the planet through music and movement.
Oh. Okay. I just got some chills because, I don't want to jump into the astrology too soon, but I'm just going to say that definitely that connects to some things that I found in your chart.
Yeah.
And that's just, I love it when these things connect so early on when I'm talking to someone. But that's a beautiful thing.
Thanks.
And so your goal with music is to raise the vibration of what's going on in the collective, kind of. Is that something that you feel like is with that statement?
Yes, because I think music is one of the most powerful things we have. It connects every single person on the planet. It's a universal language.
Yeah.
And I'm also really big into health. So movement is medicine. Music is medicine. So if we can combine those two, we are just going to be very healthy, happy people on this planet.
I love that so much because that is actually kind of my goal with this podcast is to raise the vibration of this planet as well through the knowledge of astrology, which I mean, again, I don't want this to sound culty or anything like that because astrology really works for some people and it doesn't work for others. But I do think that it can work for a lot of people in understanding themselves and just understanding what's going on in our world.
Yes.
So I love that we kind of have similar missions, just in different avenues.
Yes.
Which is something I really believe, when you find your purpose, it is something about being of service, not only to those around you, but to the world. So it seems like that's something that you're trying to work with or trying to bring out through your music as well.
Yes.
I love that. So anyways, back to Trevin. So you guys met at the Hotel Cafe and then you said that to him.
And we wrote 2 songs then, just kind of we would connect, we'd hang out, we'd talk about music. And then there's this song called In My Power that I wrote. And I showed it to Trevin one of the first times that we hung out together. And I was like, he has to do it. I'm like, there's nobody else that can make this song. Because it was it was just that vibe, you know what I mean? Who was like, I don't want anybody else to do it. I don't even care. It's
yeah, you just
Trevin.
felt that connection in terms of like he was the one that was meant to do that.
Yes.
And that's a really powerful song too. And there's definitely, it's interesting because I feel like you have a lot of different songs, and I mean, astrologically, I feel like they connect with different parts of what I see in your chart. But In My Power is definitely one of those, just like, I don't know, there's a lot of strength in that song. And there's a lot of just like, I don't know, feminine power. And I know that in the pre-interview, you were talking a lot about like feminine rage and the connection. It's like a deep interpersonal power as well as like maybe a societal thing in terms of like going against the grain of what people expect out of women. Do you think that's true?
You're giving me goosebumps saying
Oh, good. You gave me goosebumps. So I think we're on the same level here. But I'm like, what does that song mean to you? Or more about feminine rage? I'm curious about that.
That's a really good question. That I'm gonna answer what the song means to me, and then I think the feminine rage will kind of come out.
Okay.
Now I want to speak on that first, but
Yeah, it's okay.
yeah. So the feminine rage is just like feeling like you are doing your best and also feeling like you're mistreated by men. And nor do I want to be like, I hate all men, but I just feel like there's been a lot of situations where I felt like very defeated because I gave a lot of my power to relationships, where that song is about me like, I'm done with that. Like, give me my power back. I'm like, you are not going to control how I feel. And so that is what that song was born out of. And so, yeah, there is anger when you don't feel like you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
I know what you
Yeah.
mean. And I think that a lot of times in relationships, we feel powerless.
Yeah.
And we feel defeated, or we don't understand why something happened the way it did. But turning that back into like your own power and self-love and being like, I'm a badass bitch, you know? And that's what I love, is a lot like boss bitch. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally. But a lot of your songs have a lot to do with your own power. And I know that a big part of this project for you, WREN specifically, is about the alter ego, kind of transforming yourself a little bit from, you know, your normal self, Megan, to WREN, which is like kind of almost like the version of yourself that doesn't give a shit.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes.
And I love that. And I think that's so much fun. And I'm going to just bring in a little bit of astrology right now.
Okay.
Because it's bubbling up in me and I'm going to literally explode if I don't say like this stuff right now. As far as the feminine rage stuff, so let's just first, before we get into all the different parts of her chart, I want to just go over her moon, or her sun, moon, and rising, which I think you said you kind of have some knowledge about your chart, right?
A little bit, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So your sun is in Leo, which is, like, yes, I am in my power. I am beautiful. I'm working at, like, let's just, like, have the people see what is happening, you know, being in that, like, very self-expressive, very creative place. The moon, interestingly enough, is in Aquarius, which is very funny because that is the opposite of Leo. And we're going to get more into what that means. But Aquarius energy is all about the humanity. It's all about the collective and what can I do for the collective. So the fact that you started that, like the beginning of this interview saying that, I was like, oh, Aquarian energy, also some other stuff. But that Aquarius energy is really interesting because that energy is a lot more detached. It's like the Leo energy is very expressive and very like, yes, like I can express myself and kind of be out here and show people who I am. But then the Aquarius energy is very like detached and a little bit more intellectual and less emotional and a little bit more like it's not really about me. It's more about the collective, you know? So it's this interesting, and they're opposite of each other. They are literally opposing each other. So it's interesting that you have these two parts of yourself right there that are kind of the Megan and the WREN.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. And that resonates very much because like I feel like by embodying WREN, I'm leading by example of pulling your power because like I've always wanted to be a leader by example, especially with like the health and wellness. Like, yeah, my goal is if the best way I can be a leader is to lead by example. You know what I mean?
And that's such a Leo thing, is to be a leader.
Yeah.
Literally a lion.
Yeah.
Like, I'm leading the pack, I'm doing my thing, and I'm showing you how to follow, basically.
Yeah, I don't know that I like the word follow, but yes, follow.
Yeah.
But just like I'm showing a way to embody. So yes, it is following, but like it's
not in like a creepy culty follow way.
Yeah.
More just like a lion leads, and then there are lions or lionesses or whatever that follow in the pack.
Yes.
So I think that is a very natural thing to be a leader, and that's nothing to be ashamed of, you know? Yeah. But I think that the Aquarius part is really interesting because that's a part that is less wanting to be in the forefront and more wanting to be behind the scenes, doing things, thinking about all the different, like objectively. It's more objective. So it's really interesting you have that. And then you're a Sag rising, which, I mean, and I'll get into Taylor Swift because one of your songs actually really reminded me of Taylor. And I know that she's kind of a favorite of yours too. But she's a Sag she's a Capricorn, but she's got all that, a big Sag energy. But you've got Sag rising. And the rising is all about how you present yourself to the world. You know, that's like the front door of what people see. And it's so interesting too, because you've got, I mean, Sag energy is also all about like philosophy and culture and like understanding different cultures and being a teacher and being a student and learning things too. And so you've got that as your rising being like, yeah, like I want to be out there. I want to show people like I want to teach them maybe things through your music and also connect with them in a very like outward way. They're very optimistic, bubbly, fun. So it's like you've got all that like fun fire energy, which is like so dynamic and so just like, yes, like I want to be in my power. And then it is interesting to see the other side of that, which is a little bit more like closed in and a little bit more detached and a little bit more like, I'm curious of how you connect with your own feelings or how you connect your feelings as Megan and you connect it to WREN, because astrologically, I could see a little bit of a disconnect with that sun in Leo and that moon in Aquarius being slightly hard to connect those two things. Is that something you have to work with?
The emotions?
The emotions, like your own feelings as WREN or your own feelings as Megan, and then translating that to WREN, or is the feelings that you feel as Megan completely translated to WREN, and that's how you get them. That's just like how you release it all.
That's a good question.
It may not always make 100% sense. And so it may be kind of a confusing thing to answer.
Yeah, it's, I can't say it's like one and then the other, because I do feel like that they're parts of each other. I think that like Megan feels the feelings and then like WREN transforms them.
Yeah.
And like that's been one of the things that I've always said is like my intention with writing songs and or poetry is to like express how I'm feeling, but empower and uplift myself in the process. So like a lot of songs that you haven't heard that are not on there, they're not produced. They're very like Heart Dance, for example, like that type of vibe. I have a lot of those. They're just not put out into the world. And those I feel like Megan wrote, but I think Trevin kind of helped me channel WREN into these other like very more like powerful songs.
And I see that.
Yeah.
And that was something that I did kind of write down, because I know Heart Dance was one of your first songs, right? Back in 2019.
Yeah, I think early 2020, end of 2021.
End of 2021. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I was thinking of was because I was reading up on a few things, and I know that in 2019, I think was when you really started getting more into music.
That is when I started getting into poetry.
Yeah.
Like I had written poetry a little bit, but 2019, that was definitely a very pivotal year for me.
Yeah.
And that is when I think I started writing poetry, because I went through a very devastating breakup and I was by myself. I was running a business by myself. And so poetry was like the only thing that I had that I felt like supported me and also guided me. Like I would write things and be like, I'm not even the one writing. I don't like, it's just coming. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the channel that we're talking about. And people have it in different ways. Like I believe musicians a lot of times do channel their own stuff. And like, you know, astrologers or tarot readers or whoever channel their own stuff. But the reason why I keep bringing up 2019 is because in 2019, I believe, were you 27 around that time?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay, 27 because I'm I think 2 years older than you and I was 29. So I was figuring I'm like, okay, she's probably 27 and I have a feeling she was about to go into a Saturn return, which is essentially when Saturn goes back to its natal position. And when you're around 27, 28, 29, even 30, sometimes that transit can bring up a huge life change. And Saturn is all about responsibility. And it's all about, he's like the teacher, he's the taskmaster. He's like, hey, you need to get this done and you need to learn these lessons or else I'm going to make it a lot harder for you, kind of. So it's interesting to me that was when you really started kind of getting into like you were figuring out how to work with your feelings, writing it into poetry. The poetry became music and songs. And that really seems like transformed kind of your path, your life path.
100%. I've never done anything to where I'm like, this is what I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
there's no hesitation whatsoever. When I wrote those, Heart Dance and In My Power were the first 2 songs I wrote. And I'm like, these are actually good. I'm like, for these to be my first 2 songs, I'm like, this is it.
Yeah, this is it. And when you like finally, like I had that feeling too when I got to be around 28, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do too. And when I finally figured out what felt like that, like purpose, it's like the most invigorating feeling in the world. And that's when you know, I mean, I don't know how it seems like you're somewhat spiritual. And for me, it's like, wow, I feel like that's my connection to the universe.
Yeah.
And do you feel like when you're writing music, do you feel like sometimes it's coming, like you said, like channeling, like it's coming from
absolutely
something else?
Yeah, I'm not sitting there trying to figure it out. Sometimes if it's like you have, but like when the main part of a song or like a really good, just like, like you're like, okay, like, and then the words just like slowly start coming in. Yeah.
I love that so much. And that's the thing is I really loved, like, again, I was writing down your songs and I was looking at a few of them because, again, like we were talking about, there's different versions or like different parts of your chart that I see in here. So there's like 808 Slut, Boss Bitch, Juicy Lady, She's a Banger, In My Boots. Like those are all very like the fun kind of like, yeah, like I'm a badass bitch. Like I'm in my Leo vibe. Like, and also I forgot to mention with the female rage thing because we got kind of sidetracked. But it's really interesting because you've got Mars, the planet Mars in Gemini in your 7th house. And you also have your South Node there in Gemini in the 7th. And the 7th house is all about relationships. It's all about one-to-one partnerships. It can be personal, it can be business, it can be platonic, but it's about relationships. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting to me is that you've got Mars, which is this planet of kind of heat, frustration, aggression, rage, literally rage, in this house of relationships. So to me, when I was looking at all that information, reading that, it made sense that I was like, oh, okay, this is where that part is coming from, oh, I'm going to channel this. And also the injustice. I think Mars is such a planet of like also standing up for the little guy and being like, no, that's not okay. We're not okay with this. And to myself, this is not okay. And it's such a powerful way to translate an injustice, through music, instead of trying to get the other person to see why they were wrong or trying to do something, whatever, shady to them. But I think it's amazing that you are able to translate that Martian energy, which can be a somewhat tricky energy to deal with because it is like fire. It's a lot of energy, but it's a lot of fire too. And it's really interesting because like I was saying, like you have those songs that remind me of like, okay, there's that Mars energy. But then you've got these other songs like What Are We Doing and Heat Dance and
Heart Dance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not because there was another one, Heat, Hot Sun. Sorry. Yeah. That's a different one. But sorry, Heart Dance is what I meant. And those ones are like very like transformative, very like cathartic, but I feel like there's a lot of emotion in those. And I feel like I can feel like just so like a different side of you and a different side of your chart, which you have a lot of air and you have a lot of fire and you have some earth. But you do have like these water elements, which is really like the deep emotional elements. And you've got Mercury and Leo and Chiron, which is an asteroid. And you have those things in the 8th house, which is all about really deep intimacy and loss and kind of death as well. And you have that, the Mercury being the communications and Chiron being like the real hurt. You have that in this place where it's very deep, very watery, very emotional. So it's like, I love that you're able to also write those songs that are bangers, that are fun, that are in my power, female rage. And then you're also able to write those other ones that are like really deep and really just like pouring out your feelings in a very expressive, creative way. So you have like you're very versatile with the things you write, which is a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Do you feel like that's something that came right away, or is that something that developed over time?
It came right away. Like I don't choose the songs that I'm gonna write. You know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna write a hip hop song. Oh, I'm gonna write like a melody. It's just like, this is the melody that is being presented to me, so I'm gonna sing it or write it down. Yeah.
This is what's coming to me at that time.
Yeah.
And with that time in life. So it's really interesting. And I am kind of curious to understand, and if any of this gets a little too personal, that's okay. Just let me know. But I'm curious to understand the family dynamics that you came from, because in your chart you have the moon in Aquarius and it's right there, like right next to Saturn, which, like I was saying, he's kind of the taskmaster. He's a little bit of like, that's a planet that can bring out a lot of fear, anxiety, tension, restriction.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the moon can represent the mother figure. You also have the moon, Saturn conjunct opposing the sun, which can represent, like, there's a lot of father figure in there too. So I was curious if any of that with your family contributed to, I don't know, the feelings and the things that you were processing through your music as well as through your relationships, or maybe some of those relationships repeating a certain disconnect with your family.
That's really interesting, and I think you kind of just helped me close that gap a little bit.
Oh, good.
Yeah, well, because my dad left when we were young. Like he left. So it was just me, my mom, my sister. And a lot of those songs are like written about abandonment. Like a feeling like even in Heart Dance, it's like, why'd you have to go? And then it's like, what are you doing? It's like, you left and you took it away. Now you want to come back. It's like, what do you know what I mean? So it's like, so I think that closes the gap a little bit of those.
Chills, because that's what came up for me when I listened to that song.
Yeah.
Heart Dance. It just came up. I was like, there's something deeper. It's not just about the relationships with, partners. It's like and also astrologically, a lot of times that can show a little bit of abandonment or detachment. Like the parents are just not fully involved emotionally. Yeah. And I think a lot of times musicians, even though, like, I mean, I know Taylor Swift was talking about this too. Like, you think that certain songs are about certain things, but it's actually about much deeper and other things that have gone on in their life. And I think that's really interesting that was your first song, and that was a way for you to translate, okay, this is what I have felt for a very long time probably, and now I can like have a way to let it out.
Do you know what's funny? I also think that because my dad's a musician also. He plays the guitar and he sings and plays the trombone. And I think when I started doing music is kind of what helped us start getting connected again.
Oh, wow.
Not again, like we've been connected, but like it's helped build our relationship.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, because I know you said he left, like he pieced out. So eventually were you able to find him and then reconnect?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he wasn't there. He just like wasn't there.
Right. He was still part of your picture, but not really in your day-to-day life.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It wasn't just like completely gone, and like it wasn't like, but I was like an 11-year-old. You're like, okay, like dad's moving out. Like you feel like what's happening. That's like taking a part of you when you don't understand logically what's happening. Yeah.
Well, and especially when you need it the most.
Right.
I think when you're 11, 12, 13, you're at a very vulnerable time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a weird time because you're like trying to figure out who you are, and you're more in the world, you're more in school. And then to have like your rock, one of your rocks, your mom and dad are kind of your rocks, to just like leave is like, well, okay, now like where does that leave me?
Well, and it's funny because I feel like with all of the relationships that I've had, like this pattern has kind of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I mean, like 90% of those songs are about that kind of stuff. So it's very fascinating.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm really, yeah. And that's the thing is that's what I love about astrology is it just kind of helps you connect things like that, like you said. And for me, I've had that moment too. But it is interesting because I saw that and I was like, okay. And also that Cheuvront, I know I mentioned it before, but Cheuvront is like an asteroid of like the hurt and the wounding.
Yeah.
And that's in your 8th house, which is a very deep, it's the Scorpio house. So it's very deep and intimate. And it's like your intimate relations, meaning like the stuff that like once you get to know someone for a couple months, like you want to get to know the real them.
Right.
And that's that.
Yeah.
And when you have Cheuvront in a position like that, it could show up as like there's some wounding around that deep, intimate connection that, you know, that you want to have with a person. So that was really interesting to me. But I feel like you are so on your way because it's interesting. Like I was talking about the South Node in Gemini. And then, so that's like where you've been. That's kind of what you've been doing. Like that's a past life. And it's something that you're finding balance with. So you're finding balance in relationships. But what is interesting is where you're going. That's more what I'm excited about. It's like, I mean, yes, that's something to work with. The South Node's always something you have to work with. But where are you going in this life? And where you're going is really interesting because it's in Sag. The North Node is in Sag in your 1st house, which guess what? Is the house of self. And it's all about yourself and self-love. And who are you? And like, how do you love yourself within all these other things that are happening, you know? And I just love that so much because you have your sun and your Venus and Jupiter also in the 9th, which is also a Sag house. So it's really about, again, like being like just exploring the world and loving the world and like culture and like getting to just like experience new people and things and places and like spreading that love and spreading that joy. And I just think that's such a beautiful full circle of like thinking of where you've been and what you've had to work with and coming through that and loving yourself through that, you know?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're I feel like it's getting so deep, but we get deep on this podcast. I mean, do you feel like you're at a place where you really like love yourself?
It's such a good question.
Thank you.
Do you know? Yes, I do. I really do. I think sometimes it's hard, but it's a choice to love yourself. You know what I mean? It's like you could be going through the most challenging thing and you can like put blame on yourself, like, why didn't I do this? Or I could have done this. But it's like you choose to, like, what am I going to feed myself? And like, you know, when I'm in a bad mood, I'm like, okay, am I going to let this emotion take over me? Or am I like, how do I want to treat myself? I want to treat myself with some grace and some strength. You know what I mean? So definitely, yes.
I love that so much because you're right. It is a choice.
Yeah.
Just like sometimes loving another person can be a choice. Sometimes you have to work through the ups and downs of a relationship and choose each other. Yeah. Same thing with ourselves. We have to choose ourselves over and over again. And I think you are so beautifully doing that. And Leo energy, I have to say, Leo energy is all about love. It's self-love. It's love for others. It's the heart. Leo rules the heart, literally. And so I think that your part of your path in this life is spreading love, you know, and having it for yourself, but also sharing it with the world. And I loved what I was reading in the pre-interview about how you've started to also use paint as a creative outlet too. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was so perfect for the astrology, you know, the self-expression, but also 1st house being the house of the body and you being such a creative, expressive person, using your body as kind of a performative, creative, expressive tool. I'm kind of interested to hear more about that.
Do you want to know where it came from?
Yes, I would love to know where it came from.
Okay. So I did a period mask.
Can I ask, what is that? I feel like I should know.
You put your period on your face like a mask.
Oh, wow. That is like so powerful. I'm also like intimidated by that. But how did you do that, or how did you think of that?
You know, I saw something on social media
Right. So hey, you know
that
what?
it was
We
like
get good
talking
things
about
from
the
there.
benefits of doing it.
Yeah.
And how it's like so good for your skin. And I was just like, and I've seen a lot of things that like really like I love nature, so I'm like all these things that can like ground you to yourself. Like I like that stuff. So
Yeah.
like, and I also think my period is the coolest thing ever. I'm like, this is so cool. This is so sacred. This is like me being a woman.
Wow.
But I was reading this thing. I was like, has such good benefits for your skin. And so
Really?
I put it, I mean, it does. It like the cells in your blood and you put it on your face. So I put the blood on my face.
Yeah, you did it. Were you alone? Were you in your bathroom?
I
How did
was.
this work? Okay.
And
yeah,
I was very emotional at the time.
Yeah. So you're like, I am woman, hear me roar.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And then I ended up like, I just was like taking pictures of them. Like, okay, I'm by myself. I don't want to do like, let me just like, I'll just whatever. I took some pictures of it on my face and like made it like very artsy. I should show you them
Wow.
sometime. But and then
Yeah.
I showed my friend Julie, who's an artist, and she was like, Megan, she's like, you should put paint on yourselves while you're doing your poetry or like while you're singing. And I
Yeah.
was like, it's a great idea. And then it just like the symbology of like putting what is inside, letting it come out to be seen.
Oh my God. Mind blown. I have never thought of that, but I'm very intrigued, and maybe eventually I'll try it when I get the strength to. I mean, that's just really cool. And I've never thought of that, but you're right. Like, we are powerful beings, you know, and that is a powerful thing that happens. So to be able to put it on your body and like kind of reclaim it, I guess, is a cool thing. That's really fun. So you started with that.
Yeah.
And then that led you to paint, and would you put it all over your face, or would you put body, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would intentionally do it. Well, I do intentionally do it with, most of the time it's spoken word. So like I'll be saying a poem like it's almost sarcastic. The paint is almost a sarcastic thing. And like, I'm just thinking of one poem that I do, like, when you're left with nobody but you, it's hard not to be blue. And you put like a little bit of blue on your face, and then you put a different color, but fuck being blue. Those people aren't like, don't want, like all like, just like letting it be the sarcastic thing of like, I'm not going to be blue. I'll be pink then.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So do you still do that within your performances? Like
Yes.
your live
Yeah.
performances?
I haven't done it recently with the live performances because it's like it's been this evolution of like, okay, so I had like the very paint ballady stuff, and then I created this hip hop things, but they're all very important. They're all aspects of me. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I combine them? And I figured out a way to combine them.
Oh, cool. How do you combine them?
There's two ways. It depends on the space. Like if I were to do an hour show, what I would do would be kind of like start with the boss bitch stuff, kind of like arc it to then when you're going down and you're doing the ballady stuff and the paint, and then you come out with like the very empowering songs of like, I got a feeling everything's all right. We're gonna go chill in the hot sun. We're gonna live in the moment. So it's like, yeah, you know, it's. I'll be honest, and it's okay, but I feel like these songs, it's I don't want to say they're a defense mechanism, but they kind of are. Mm-hmm. But it's a counter to like feeling bad. It's like, no, it's reclaiming. It's reclaiming. Yeah.
And you know, I love it because I was just thinking about one of our previous guests named Auntie Hannah. And I feel like she kind of had the same thing. Yeah. Where, I mean, I was kind of surprised because her songs are also very like, kind of like, I don't know, very like sexually liberated. Like she's just kind of like a bad bitch, you know, also as well as you. And she's also like, when she came, she's like the sweetest person, but she was so much a little bit more quiet than I was expecting. And it was interesting. I think it was that same kind of thing where it's like she uses that as well to kind of like, I don't know, just like get into a different version of herself that maybe she feels a little bit uncomfortable putting out into the world normally.
Yeah.
But that's how she does it in her music. And I totally get that. And I think that's so beautiful what you were saying too about like the order of the performance. And that really does feel kind of like your chart too, because, you know, you're starting with the female rage, you know, the Mars and the South Node and the seventh. And Gemini is very verbal. You know, Gemini is like, oh my God, the multitasker. And so word wise, they're able to put out a lot of words. And also just like, but that Mars is like kind of the rage part of it. But then you're able to transform it through all this different music and different songs. And then at the end of it, you go through the like kind of more emotional, the ballads and things like that. But then at the end, you're coming back out with the that Sag in the North Node in Sag, as well as all those planets in your ninth house, the optimistic, the fun. And I wrote that down. I got a feeling, I'm fine, hot sun. All those were that Sag vibe to me. And that reminded me a lot of Taylor Swift's I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. I'm fine. That's what reminded me of that. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of a similar vibe where it's like, everything's fine. I'm good. Even though I just went through this really hard situation, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm coming out of it, So I think that's so beautiful that you kind of see that almost that transformation within yourself. And you do have, these planets and aspects in like Scorpio, which is also very transformational. The Pluto in Scorpio in the 12th house is this transformative planet that really lives on death and rebirth. And it seems like you kind of do that a little bit through your music and through just your own version of yourself, which is really fun. So, oh my gosh, oh my God, my mind is blown. There's so much that we talked about, and I just really love everything you shared. Thank you so much for being so open and communicative about everything. And I'm curious, we have a few questions that, we want to ask musicians at the end of this, just because it's fun to get a little bit of feedback of the reading in terms of the astrology of it all. What did you gravitate towards most to this reading? And what do you think about this reading in general? What do you think about the astrology of what we talked about?
I feel like it makes sense.
It resonated?
Yeah. And let me tell you what I think about the reading first.
Okay, that sounds good.
I think it was helpful to hear just the patterns and how like that shows up in the music and what that means. That kind of is like a little light bulb for me. So it almost helps to make it feel like, oh, there's a completion with this a little bit. So that
like there's a purpose.
Yeah. So that then I can see how like things like this would be, I wouldn't necessarily like do a reading and be like verbatim, that's it, but be like, oh, that makes sense. That resonates. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, like that gives you another little thing to play with in the brain to twist it into place.
Yeah. I'm kind of I think with readings, it's fun to keep processing and because there's a million things. I mean, that's the thing is like with a chart, there's a million things going on and they're all part of you. Yeah. I mean, none of it's like separate, like it's all connected. Yeah. But I really do feel like with charts, they do all connect because I believe in this life, like we aren't meant to have bad things. Yeah. We aren't meant to live a life. I don't believe we're meant to live a life of suffering. I think we are meant to live a life that is teaching us something, probably things that we didn't learn before that maybe we were meant to. Okay, so we come back. Yeah. We come back and here we are. There's that South Node. Okay, great. This is what I have to work on in my life. And then you develop that more and more until you get to a place where it's like, okay, I feel like I'm working with that and I understand it. And it's not easy. You still go through things and transits and, things come up. But it is helpful to kind of just understand the patterns and understand, I don't know, how it all connects and what's the purpose of it, because it's like, well, why do some people that I've done readings for, like, I just don't get why this keeps happening, And honestly, I think sometimes it's that you're not really being aware of yourself and not being self-aware of where you're at and what are you actually feeling? Are you trying to ignore stuff? But it seems like with you really have developed a way to process everything that you feel. And even though that Aquarius moon, I think, can sometimes not always want to look at the feelings that are going on because they're more intellectual, you have figured out a way how to process that through music and poetry and also WREN, through the alter ego. So I think that's amazing. And I'm really glad that resonated with you. Was there a specific sign or aspect that you connected with the most that we talked about?
I don't remember.
I know. Well, and to be fair, there's a lot of different things going on, but it seems like you connect with your Leo self. It seems like that's.
I mean, really all of those. I forget what the Sagittarius is about, but
the Sag rising, kind of how you present yourself to the world. That's like the front door. And Sag is all, it's, you know, the teacher, the learner, expansive energy, you know, joy, abundance, all that.
Yeah. So yes, then those make sense. Those make sense. And the fact where we're like I do like to kind of like strut into a room and be Ren, you know what I mean? But like I also do have this deep desire and intention to impact other people. Like that is kind of like, even though in like maybe not my day to day, like I'm not like thinking about that, but like overall, like that is my intention with the things, with my actions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then what does a Sagittarius do again? Because that made sense too.
Oh yeah, well Sag is also very much about that. I mean, it's very expansive. It's like people and places and cultures. And I was curious, do you travel much or do you enjoy traveling? That's very Saggy.
I think I'm the type of person that like I'm not going to stay somewhere very long. Like I want to go explore different places. Like I've been doing it since I was 27 of like kind of hopping around places.
Oh, okay, got it. So you are kind of a traveler, a nomad a bit?
But yes.
Okay.
Like
there's part of you that likes that.
I don't stay places for very long.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a Saggy thing. I think that Sagittariuses love to see the world and love to meet new people and places and things. And, you know, like we were talking about, you know, you have Sun, Venus, which is the language of love or like how you connect with people, and Jupiter, which is like your planet of like abundance and joy and what is easy for you in this life is all in the 9th house. So I could imagine that, travel and learning and teaching and just connecting and like, I don't know, like the higher mind, like philosophy and stuff. Like these are all things that might interest you and be a part of your life in general, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really fun and that's so exciting. And I think as a musician, that's probably a good thing that you like to travel a bit because, I mean, do you tour? Like, do you go on a lot of tours or when was your last tour?
I have not gone on tour yet.
Okay, but that's something in the works.
That is on the horizon.
Okay, so that's very exciting. And to jump off of that, what is the next stages for WREN? What are you excited about? Like, what's coming up next for your project?
I love my project so much. I connect with it so much, and it's just so meaningful. Like, so there's about 3 or 4 songs that aren't quite done that just will go into this cohesive body of work. And the one that we just did is like I'm the most excited about. It's In My Boots.
Oh yeah. Oh, we were talking about In Your Boots. Tell us about In Your Boots or In My Boots. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. These boots, these are the boots. If anybody can see the boots.
Can you see the boots?
Like, how can you not see the boots?
You got to see the boots. That's why we're wearing boots. I don't know if you noticed through the video, but we're wearing our favorite boots.
Totally. Like, we got to just be in our boots.
So the boots are like, I mean, I know you were talking about this a little bit before we started, but how did the boots come into your life?
The boots, I went into the store. It was I don't even know what the store is called, but it was like Cosmo is his name who was in there.
Yeah.
And he is a stylist, and I went into the store, it was like all these costumes. I was like, okay, well, I need some like WREN outfit. So I go in there and he just puts me in all these outfits. I'm like, oh my God, he puts me in the shoes. I'm like, these are my shoes. These are my shoes.
I gotta do it. These are my boots.
And I'm not kidding. In the intro song, it's like, Trey, I saw these boots and I had to have them, but I'm not kidding you. I had to have these boots when I saw them. I feel so powerful in my boots. I
love that. Like, you feel like in your true, like, this is me. Like,
I can do anything in my boots. Like, I can get over Chad in my boots.
What are some of the other things you can do in your boots?
I can climb a tree. I can walk on the beach. I can pet a cat. Yeah. Like, I call my mom. I go to the gym. I do it
Drink
all.
wine in your boots.
In my boots.
I love that. And so that's kind of part of the WREN vibe too. Like, you put on the boots, you have your paint, you're like, I am doing this. And I loved when you were just like beaming. Like, you were like talking about how much you love your project. And it was almost like a person talking about either like a child or like, I don't know, or even like a romantic partner, like someone they love so much. Like, you look like you were just beaming, just talking about this project. And that is also so beautiful because, again, it comes back to the self-love thing and the first house thing and coming back to like, this is me. Like, I love it. Like, I feel that way about this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, whenever I tell anyone about this podcast, I feel that same way where I'm like, I'm like, you know, it's like, this is so in my purpose. And it seems like WREN is just like, that is how you feel. It's like in your purpose.
Very much so. And just to touch on this slightly, but I feel like a lot of my life I've been afraid to say what I really want to say. So I feel like not only WREN, but music gives me a safe space to like say how I'm feeling when I've been afraid of that a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I love that. And you know, I didn't really say this about Aquarius energy, but what I love about it is that in my astrologer, the way he puts it is that it's like me, don't like me, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And they're very much about like, I'm just going to be me and I'm totally myself and whatever, and people can take it or they don't. So it's like cool because you're incorporating, again, that Leo vibe, which is like so fun and so out there, but also with that a little bit of a detachment, being like, I don't really care. I don't care if you like me. I'm going to be in my boots. You can go. Whatever. You can go F yourself. But, you know, so it's really fun. I love that you have incorporated these boots to the vision and to WREN. I was going to ask you if you had any questions about your chart or if there was anything else that you kind of wanted to know that we didn't cover.
My question would be, what is my greatest area of strength in?
Ooh, okay. So your greatest area of strength, I think, is something that we talked about quite a bit, which is Sagittarius, big energy. Okay. You've got, so Jupiter is the planet. He's like the helpful party guy who's like, I got your back. Don't worry. I got you. Saturn is more like restrictive. Jupiter's more expansive. So you have Jupiter in the 9th house. You also have Venus in the 9th house and your sun, all in the 9th, all about your travel, all about exploring new worlds and people and cultures and learning new things. And it was really interesting. I didn't bring this up earlier, but it was interesting when you were talking about how you're really in tune with your body and you're really in tune with like health and like nutrition and like healthy body, healthy everything, because you actually have Jupiter and Venus in Virgo. And Virgos are all about purity. They're all about nature. They're all about health. They're about kind of, you know, being able to discern things to really find the purest outcome for, I mean, like eating wise, but also for, you know, other things too. And it's also about being of service and helping people in a practical way. So I would say your 9th house with Jupiter there, Venus there, both in Virgo, your sun there in Leo, so that's already a lot going on, is very important and also like a huge strength in your life, as well as where you're going, which is the 1st house, which is in Sag, which rules the 9th house. So basically it all connects to travel, culture, expansion, learning things, being a teacher, and really being a leader, like you were saying earlier. So those are the areas I would definitely say where you have a lot of energy that's helpful and very expansive too.
Interesting. So my 1st house is in Sagittarius and so is my 9th house?
So you have Sag rising, so it's ruling your 1st house.
Okay. And
your North Node is in Sag, which is all, so, you know, that's all the Sag energy, but traditionally the 9th house is the Sag house. So I know that's a little confusing.
That makes sense.
But basically it's Sag just in 2 different ways,
okay.
You know, and that, but the energy is expansive. It's optimistic. It's abundant. It's fun. It's like, yeah, getting to go and like just be in new places and new people and just teach people things and learn things too from other people and connection, really.
That makes sense.
Good. And it does feel it is like a place where it's like, yes, like you don't have to do too much. It's kind of already there for you. So that's what I would say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so, okay, so you were talking a little bit about like your future or what's going to happen next. So you're writing new music, you have new things coming out. Are you going to be performing anywhere that people could check you out?
Don't have any performances coming up, but I think we're in the space right now of making WREN a brand name. You know, like we're in the space of like letting people get to know who she is, what she stands for.
Let her out.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like we're the phase we're in right now as we finish up the project. And then once the projects finish up and people understand that WREN cares about you, that WREN can see your power and your pain and you got it in there. But yeah, I think, I mean, the Boss Bitch hotline's going to come out soon.
I love
we're going to be hanging out in our boots a lot soon.
And you could have like all these people just in their boots,
Yeah.
feeling their power. And that's
Yes.
very inspiring for
Yeah.
people, because I think a lot of people are kind of scared to show their deeper self or their, their bad bitch, like people are like, I don't know if I should do it, but it's fun because you are inspiring that and you are leading that. So I think that's so great. And where can people find you?
It's a good question. On all the social media platforms.
Oh, perfect.
But my music's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on all the major streaming platforms under WREN, WREN. And then sometimes you should type in like in my power 808 slut, just because the algorithm doesn't quite know me yet. But it will.
Okay.
It will. Okay.
They need to get on that. The algorithm needs to catch up a little bit.
But yeah, and then Instagram, TikTok, all those things.
I love it. And you were talking about a few more TikTok ideas and maybe some fun videos with your boots, which would be a lot of fun to see.
I think we should do a video with our boots.
I mean, I think we could definitely do a fun video with our boots and maybe post on your TikTok. We have now a new AstroLyrical TikTok, which is like very exciting. Anyways, so I'm very excited to hear some of your songs today.
I'm excited to share.
What are you going to play for us?
I think we're going to play I'm Fine.
Beautiful. Love it.
Yes. That one's very special. And then I think we're going to do In My Power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited. And thank you so much again, Megan.
Thank you so much.
I felt like we were on the same page.
Yeah.
It was such a fun interview. And I'm so excited to hear your songs. So take a listen.
Just stop, I can't think. Reminiscing over all the words you said to me. Thinking you and I were ever always gonna be. It's fine, I'm fine. I remember the day you said I wouldn't be enough. But I saw you smile, baby, call your bluff. Cause I know I'm everything you want and desire. And it's fine, I'm fine. And I know I'm going crazy when I think about you, baby. And it's all inside. And I know you're going crazy, got some mind problems, baby, so get off my mind. I'm fine, I'm doing just fine. But sometimes I think about you all the time. Sometimes I wish that you were by my side. But it's fine, I'm fine. Staying up all night, baby, waiting for your call. Cause I want your consequence, yeah, I gotta have it all. Even though it hurts, even though I know my worth it. It's fine, I'm fine. You can take me through your struggles, baby, throw me like a doll. I don't care, I'm here, baby, up against the wall. Cause I gotta have you near, whisper sweetness in my ear. And it's fine, I'm fine. And I know I'm going crazy when I think about you, baby. And it's all inside. And I know you're going crazy, got some mind problems, baby, so get off my mind. I'm fine, I'm doing just fine. But sometimes I think about you all the time. Sometimes I wish that you were by my side. But it's fine, I'm fine. And you can never have it all, but you can have it all with me. And you can never have it all, but you can have it all with me. You can have it all with me. You can never have it all, but you can have it all with me. And you can never have it all, but you can have it all with me. Cause I know I'm going crazy when I think about you, baby, and it's all inside. on, let's play. I got a feeling we could do this all day. Come now, I wanna know you better, baby. Last call. Hey, can I get your number, baby? What now? I bet you can show me around, around, around. Cause I got a feeling everything's alright. We're kissing in your car on a Saturday night. I'll be there in the morning, baby, hold you tight. Cause I got a feeling everything's alright. Everything's alright, everybody. Da 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 da. Everything's alright. Da 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 da. Everything's alright.
Oh God, thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. This podcast has been a LiliRose production, created by Liana Bassior, produced by Alana Cheuvront, Juliana Hartman, and Danielle Marascalchi. Stay tuned for next week's episode, where we dive into another musician's natal chart and listen to their music.